Welcome back to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're here today because we're tackling something that trips up so many of us researchers, students, writers, you name it. We're going to demystify the exact requirements for putting together a Harvard style speech reference. We spend so much time learning how to properly cite books, journal articles, and websites, but spoken words, they often feel like they exist in this tricky, ambiguous gray area. Well, today, we're going to clear that up completely using a highly structured visual approach. So let's get right into it. Okay, let's dive into this. Think about the unique challenge of citing a live spoken event. When you cite a standard published book or an article, the text is frozen in time, right? It's bound in paper or it's locked in a PDF on your hard drive. But a speech is an event. It's quite literally words spoken into the air in a specific room at a specific time to a specific audience. Pinning that down for academic or professional scrutiny requires a very specific set of tools. You basically need to capture the exact moment in time and the format in which those fleeting words were recorded. That brings us to Section 1, Anatomy of a Speech Reference and Core Citation Ingredients. I want you to look at a citation not as some boring string of text, but as a piece of machinery. Every single component has a highly specific job to do to make the whole engine run smoothly. Here is your blueprint. According to the Harvard referencing standards, there are 7 absolute essential ingredients you need to construct a complete reference list entry for a speech. You need the speaker, the year, the title, or a descriptive title if there isn't an official one, the event or occasion, the venue and location, the full delivery date, and finally, the source of the recording or transcript. Now, what's really interesting here is how meticulously the event or occasion is separated from the physical venue and location. They are not the same thing. The event might be an annual scientific summit, right? But the venue is the actual convention center or university hall where the microphone was plugged in. By separating these out, you give your reader the exact historical context of where and why those words were actually spoken. Moving right along to Section 2, Digital and Alternate Sources. Let's be honest with ourselves. In modern research, you are very rarely sitting in the actual audience taking shorthand notes. You're likely accessing these speeches after the fact, which brings up a whole host of modern what-ifs. If you're listening to or reading a speech on the internet, the machinery of your citation needs a few extra parts. Basically, if your source is accessed online, then you must include the hosting organization, the URL, and the access date when required. This is absolutely critical because the digital landscape is constantly shifting. A speech hosted on an organization's website today might be totally moved or archived tomorrow. By providing the hosting organization and the exact URL, alongside the date you personally accessed it, you're proving to your reader exactly where this digital artifact lived at the exact moment you used it for your research. But what if you're dealing with older historical archives? Contrast a flawless direct transcript or a crisp audio recording with a speech that survives only through a secondary lens, like a newspaper report from 100 years ago, or maybe an edited collection of historical documents. The golden rule here is to cite the version you actually used. If a speech survives only through a newspaper report or an edited collection, that is exactly what goes in your citation. And this brilliantly illustrates one of the strictest, most important academic rules out there, transparency. You absolutely cannot pretend you had access to a pristine original audio file if you actually just read a journalist's summary in a vintage newspaper. You must cite the physical or digital page your own eyes looked at. Which leads us to Section 3, Perfecting in-text quotations. So far, we've been talking about the big, detailed reference that goes at the very end of your document. But how do we drop this cleanly into the main text of your writing without totally interrupting the flow of your own arguments? Let's move to and see how this builds into an actionable process. Here is how you build a precise in-text citation. Step 1, you must use the speaker and the year right there in the text. This immediately signals to the reader whose words are coming next and when they were spoken. Step 2, if you're pulling a precise quotation, you have to guide the reader to the exact spot. For an audio or video recording, you add a timestamp. For written transcript, you add a page number. Think about how incredibly helpful this is for a second. If you're quoting a 2-hour-long keynote address, your reader shouldn't have to blindly guess where that quote happened. By dropping in a precise timestamp, you are giving them an exact map right to the moment those words left the speaker's mouth. Okay, time for a little breather. Section 4, the citation generator shortcut. Now, I love the structure of citations as much as anyone, but I also know that manually formatting all those commas, brackets, and italics can be incredibly tedious. So let's introduce a moment of automated relief for the heavy lifting. There's a remarkably helpful tool you should know about, the Harvard Reference Generator, which you can find at harvardreferencegenerator.co.uk, is an automated tool that instantly generates a perfectly formatted Harvard speech reference for you. However, notice the major caveat here. It generates the reference only after you verify the speaker, event, date, and access source. So the crucial point is this: the technology is only as good as the researcher using it. The generator cannot do the historical digging for you. You still have to play the role of the investigator. You have to lock down the exact venue, the correct delivery date, and the precise hosting organization. Once you've actually gathered those 7 essential ingredients we discussed earlier, then you just plug them into the generator, and it handles the formatting math for you. It's a real game changer. I want to leave you with a final provocative thought to ponder as you go forward with your writing and research. If a speech isn't accurately recorded and cited, did its message really survive? When we diligently cite a speech, when we painstakingly track down the venue, the date, and the exact timestamp, we aren't just following some arbitrary academic rules. We're actively participating in the preservation of spoken history. We are ensuring that the ideas shared in that room on that specific day are accurately tethered to reality so that future learners can find them, verify them, and build upon them. Honestly, mastering these citations means mastering how we preserve human communication itself. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep organizing your knowledge, and I'll catch you next time.